Hello and welcome. This is your reading for the week of September 15th. Okay, y'all. First and foremost, above all else, we have the second of two eclipses in September happening at the very end of this week on the 21st. On Sunday, the 21st of September, we have the solar eclipse in Virgo. In terms of astronomy, this is only a partial eclipse. The first eclipse that we had this month on the 7th of September was a total lunar eclipse. Listen, I'm recording this in July, so I have no idea what's going on in September. I would think that the eclipse on the 7th was a little bit more dramatic because of the visuals of it, the visuals it gave us, aka it was not like the release of Renaissance. We were not sitting around waiting for the visuals. Anywho, this eclipse this week is not giving us like stunning total solar eclipse ring of fire, but it's an eclipse. It's a solar eclipse, and it's happening near the South Node, which is a very important setup. It's happening in Virgo in a near exact opposition to Saturn. So if you listened to me, if you listened to me on the first week of September, on September 1st reading, then you heard me say that the month of September is all about being crystal clear about your priority and learning how to say no to the things that are not your priority right now. It doesn't mean you can't go back to them. It doesn't mean you can't say, can I circle back to you on this? It doesn't mean you can't be like, I'm not ready to say yes or no right now. And saying something like, I actually just need a minute is really helpful because I don't want you to miss out on things. I don't want you to say no to things that you'd like to do. I just really, really want to get the message across that this week in particular, but again, all through September, I want you to be very focused, disciplined, accountable, responsible, reliable, and consistent. And if you are, I think that the surges of energy that eclipse season brings could be just the thing that you need in order to make the pivot or the change or the breakthrough that you're ready for. And I talk about this in the breakthrough course all the time, but it's really hard to have a breakthrough when we are sleep deprived and dehydrated and malnourished and all the things, right? Like we need to take care of our base level needs first and foremost. And that is what is so important to do on a South Node eclipse, what we were having this week, what we are dealing with this week. Because Virgo is so concerned with digestion, literally, absolutely just literal, not even metaphoric, also metaphoric, but very much literally. Because Virgo is so concerned, aware of nutrition, nutritional value, I'm actually being literal, because it's all about incorporating what's good for us and eliminating what's not. I do think that focusing on your health and wellness this week will help you to move mountains, will help you to reset your system, will help you to clear something out of your way that has held you and kept you stuck. The obstacles that we are up against this week are much easier to deal with when we have our foundations covered, when we show up well-rested, well-nourished, well-hydrated, well-sorted out, well-cared for, well-resourced. And oftentimes the obstacle in our path is us. We're the problem. And so how can you be part of your own solution just this week, not even thinking too far ahead, just being in the moment, just being with yourself? What do you need to say no to? What do you need to temporarily at least eliminate so that you can focus on what is important? I cannot go to 17 parties in a week and also work on my sleep. I mean, maybe I could have done that when I was 20, but I cannot do that anymore because if I do not get to bed by like 10 o'clock, I am not okay the next day, no matter how much I sleep. That's just me. But I know, like, and sometimes I, sacrifice my sleep to have fun. And sometimes I don't want to do that. And it's more fun to have sleep. Most of the time, it's more fun to have sleep. So what is it that you need to prioritize right now, this week, just this week, for your health and wellness? What fun things might you need to engage in, and what fun things might you need to not engage in order to have a different kind of fun? This is really a week about grown-up fun. And grown-up fun is often being in bed by 9 o'clock or some version of that. What is your version of grown-up fun? Fun that is not going to make you feel horrible tomorrow. I want you to wake up every day this week and be like, okay, I resourced myself. Let's see what the day brings. And take note of the work that you get done, psychological, emotional, in terms of rest. Rest isn't work, but getting some deep rest is the perfect way to spend a South Node eclipse week. This is the nitty-gritty details of the week. On Monday, Venus is going to sextile Mars, which is very cute and flirty and fun. Venus is in flashy Leo. Mars is in Libra, which is Venus's sign, so it actually gets helped out here. This is a nice moment for Mars. Mars has been struggling a little in Libra. So this is a moment where we can be really excited by art or by beauty. This is a moment to spontaneously ask somebody out on a date, a friend date, a platonic date, a romantic date, doesn't matter. But be open to taking action to make connections. That's the main thesis of Monday and Tuesday. Wednesday, we have one of these reality checks. What is the answer I need to give if I am focused on my priorities? Mercury makes an opposition to Saturn. There's a no in the air. And maybe we need to say the no. Maybe somebody else is saying no to us. Either way, what is the reality? How do we need to work within the confines that we've been given? How do we need to respect the decision, respect our responsibilities, respect our commitments, adhere to them, and work within those time limits or constraints? On Thursday, Mercury changes signs and does a whole bunch of stuff. It makes an opposition with Neptune and trines Uranus and trines Pluto, aka there's a shift in conversation. There's actually a flurry of things to say on Thursday. There's a lot that gets stimulated intellectually. And I think that we end up on Thursday with some really deep cathartic conversations. On Friday, Venus moves in to Virgo. So Venus is moving into the part of our chart where the eclipse is happening on Sunday, adding extra emphasis in that area of our chart. And then on Saturday, Venus will make a square to Uranus. And that's very much about trying new things that could be delightful or not, but it definitely is about making connections in different ways, doing things in a contrary fashion, and making sure that we are appreciating the beauty of what is left out or marginalized or kind of betrayed by the systems we live within. On Saturday, the sun also makes an opposition to Saturn, which is what is baked into Sunday's eclipse, aka from Wednesday all the way through to Sunday, we have just this crunch. There's like a time limit, a constraint, a no, a rejection, a boundary that we're setting that is being set for us, a no that we are saying, a no that is being said to us. We're dealing with and confronting the end or the limit or the boundary of a situation. And that's important. It's good for us. It's part of living in a finite world. We have to be very willing, even excited to be like, okay, this is the boundary of the thing. Great. I need to work within it. And then Sunday is that South Node eclipse. And that is definitely about purifying, digesting, releasing, resting. You know how much we digest when we rest? It's that kind of vibe. It's like we go for a little walk or go for a little something after dinner. It's like restful, but it's still in motion. It helps us to digest and make use of everything we've consumed, but it's still helping us to sort through things It's like we don't go for like a 50-mile jog after a big meal, but we might like saunter around the kitchen. We might putter around. We might do some little kind of movement that helps us to find our way through the digestion process. I don't know if that vibes with you, but you know what I'm saying? Like something small, some kind of activity that helps us to assimilate everything that we've just taken in psychologically, emotionally, maybe even physically. All right, y'all, let's talk about where this is all landing in your chart. So we're headed towards this second eclipse in September. It is also the second eclipse that has happened in Virgo in 2025. The first one was in March. I want you to think back to March. I want you to think about what you were learning about your collaborations, if you have any or if you're in any. If not, I want you to think about any shared finances that you have with anybody, like shared bank accounts or debts and loans and credit card payments and mortgages or taxes, etc. What was going on for you financially in those regards in terms of what you owed to anyone, any kind of payment, if there was an issue or if there was a situation. I want you to think about what you've learned over the past 6 months about that area of your life. Maybe there's been some better accounting. Maybe there's been some better tallying. Maybe there's been some better exchanges, a little give and take of what you have, what you need, what you're owed, what you owe, all of that kind of stuff. And then, as we talked about last week, one of the biggest things to really like meditate on that can relate to money but doesn't have to, that is connected to this eclipse for you, is to understand the ways in which your mind holds on to things it fears that it doesn't have to. Fears from the past, fears that impede you from being more self-expressed, fears that impede you from asking for what you need or what you deserve, or demanding what you need or what you deserve, fears that keep you locked in a certain kind of lifestyle or paradigm or situation or friendship or relationship or place in life. And what are you being encouraged to confront right now as it pertains to a fear that your mind kind of marinates over, that gets stuck on, that has nothing to do with your current reality? I'm not knocking things that we actually need to be afraid of, because there are things that we need to be concerned about, and even like, oh, that's a dangerous thing, so fear is normal. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about things that actually aren't happening right now, fears that you developed a long time ago or a short time ago that are controlling or dominating your life, that you're realizing, that you're coming to awareness around, that you're starting to understand how much they limit you and how much they get in the way of living your life. So that's one of the main themes of last week and this week. The eclipse happens on Sunday, the 21st, but this is the general theme of last week and this week. Last week, I hope there was a bit of a breakthrough, a bit of something positive happening, even a piece of information about support or money coming in, or something that was like an insight that helped you to be like, oh, okay, financially, that's very helpful and supportive. And I hope that this week that message continues. And then on a psychological level, what we have control, if you will, over is to be really meditating on what we might be succumbing to in our own mind, in our own psychological makeup, that is inhibiting us in a way it doesn't need to. So the little tiny moments, astrologically speaking, that are occurring on Monday, there's a really nice thing for any partnerships you're in, any relationships you're in. There's something that's really encouraging. There's something that's really helpful in terms of strategizing with people long term. On Wednesday, we're confronted with a limit or a boundary that is, again, going to be folded into and woven through this entire month, but especially this week and into next week. At least the reverberations will be felt. And that is financial, or that is about what I just talked about, which is this is impeding me from living my life. This belief, this thought, this fear that is not valid anymore is impeding me from living my life, is impeding me from making money, is impeding me from expressing myself, is impeding me from being who I need to be or showing up as I need to show up. So what is the accounting and what is the result? Tally things up and what does it equal? And do you like that equation? Do you like that result? If not, what is it that you need to work through or confront? On the 18th, Mercury moves into Libra, and that creates some really positive exchanges and really positive conversations that helps you to open up to a new way of thinking, a new way of talking about something. And so I do feel like these psychological breakthroughs that you might be having by Thursday start to really prove themselves. Like, oh yeah, I do have a shift in how I'm thinking about this, or, oh, I've never thought about it like that. It's an opening of your mind. On Friday, as Venus moves into Virgo, it emphasizes the quality of your exchanges and how to focus on what you value in your collaborations, and also how to focus on valuing what you bring to the table, what you bring to your collaborations, and having, again, a kind of breakthrough around that. What is the breakthrough that you might need to have that would help you to value your collaborators and your own collaborations? And what is that relationship kind of dynamic that you're working through right now to help you to do that? And then Saturday, Sunday is more of that confronting something that is like the equation is this. This is the result. This is what it all equals. Do I like that? Is this a helpful collaboration? Is this a helpful exchange? Did I get the grant? Did I get the loan? Did I get the investment? Who is investing in me and who is saying they're not going to invest in me or they're not going to collaborate with me? And how can that no set me free? Who do I not want to collaborate with? Who do I not want to invest in something with? And how can that no set me free? What is it that I need to invest my time, energy, and talents into? And what do I not need to invest my time, energy, and talents into right now? And how can that knowledge be exceptionally clarifying? And how can I give myself permission to say the no's that I need to say? And also to just be okay with whatever no I might get or whatever limit I might have to be wrestling with. Like, okay, we don't have enough time to do it. We don't have enough resources to do it. We don't have the people we need to do it. Okay, what now? And because it's a South Node eclipse that's happening on the 20th on Sunday, just know that rest is the best medicine that you can give yourself. It's also one of the most efficient ways to work through any complications that come up with it. Okay, y'all, that's the reading for the week of September 15th. Sending us all a lot of blessings, a lot of protection, and a lot of strength to let go of the things that don't work, to let go of the rules that don't work, and to adhere to the ones that do. Here's to being the boss of ourselves and also having to be the boss and bear the consequences of that, having to take responsibility for all the things we have to take responsibility for, but also to get the freedom that comes with that. I'll see you back here next week. We're going to talk about something else. We're not going to talk about eclipses. We're not going to talk about all the things that happened this week, but we are going to talk about something very new, two things that are very new. One really riles up our ability to strategize and to go deep with something. That's Mars moving in to Scorpio. I'll see you back here for more about that then. Bye for now.